What's up? I'm Royce, and in today's video, we're going to go more in depth with working in DaVinci Resolve, specifically with 4K projects on the iPad Mini 7. Now, in my previous video, I talked about how this was a big deal because, yes, even though you could install DaVinci Resolve on the iPad Mini 6, you were locked in at only editing HD footage, which is better than nothing because on the Mini 6, you couldn't even get Final Cut Pro at all, which on the Mini 7, you can finally now do that too. And the reason why I want to focus on DaVinci Resolve over Final Cut on the Mini 7 is because just from a feature standpoint, I mean, there's really no comparison, right? We're pretty much getting the desktop version of DaVinci just kind of, minimalized. And if you have the shortcut keys set up, it gets you a little bit closer to the full desktop version. Where Final Cut on the iPad, you could definitely see they cut out a lot of features to make it more simple to use. All right, so let's just go ahead and open up DaVinci Resolve. And how I have this set up is I'm using Blackmagic Cloud, which I've never done before. This is actually my first time, but I've seen some videos on it, so I was really curious to kind of see how that would work. I have these projects set up in the cloud, which I can access from my desktop and then now from my Mini 7. Once I figured out the workflow, the syncing and everything is really awesome. I did not think that it was going to be this fluid, and I literally can switch back and forth between my iPad and then my computer like instantly. So if you want some more info on that, let me know, and maybe I'll just make a video dedicated to how to set all that up. But for now, let's go ahead and open this project here. So the first thing I just want to show you guys right here, if I click on my timeline and go to timeline settings, this is a 4K project. So let's just hit play and just kind of see as is how it's going to run. And I have here the iPad Mini 7 and also the iPad Mini 6, which I'm actually trading in for this guy once I get all my important stuff off of here. And yeah, we can address the... All right, yeah, seems pretty fluid. That's great. So let's kind of fast forward here. Let's go to some overlays that I have. Here's one right here. Let's see how that goes. Device. But in my opinion, upgrading to the A17 Pro chip was really kind of all they needed. So we got a little bit of lag there, some frame drops. And let's see what this is. I think this is just an image too, which is interesting. I did a little, zoom in effect, so I wouldn't think that would be too problematic. Let's see if that happens throughout, because I have some screen recordings that I did with some other moments here. Okay, yeah, so this is showing off Apple Intelligence. Let's go ahead and play. Okay, so that's running pretty smooth. So I wonder why, with that image, I should probably look at the resolution of that and see if that's kind of causing a problem if it's a little bit too high. Overlay right here seems to be pretty good. So these, again, these are screen recordings from my computer. So that doesn't seem to be a problem. Cool things that you could do with the Mini 7, except Final Cut Pro. Yeah. So all the screen recordings running smooth, all the cutaways. In storage to 512 gigabytes versus... Okay, so we got some drop frames there too, which I believe this was also just a screenshot. So let's actually look at that. Let's see what's going on here. What? No. The resolution is not crazy at all. Very interesting. Okay, it's a PNG, so the JPEG. Let's see. Let's talk about DaVinci Resolve is huge. iPad here. Oh no, yeah, frames dropped all around there. iPad at the top. Interesting. So it seems these images are causing some significant frame drops. Didn't see that coming. I'm surprised that that's a problem. So yeah, we can see here it's a 4K clip shot at 24 frames or 2397. But I did record purposely at ProRes 422 LT in camera. I was shooting this on my Red camera and shot in ProRes just so I can have the LUT and everything baked in and I wouldn't have to work in their Red RAW format for a YouTube video because honestly, that's just doing too much. Let's just drop another 4K clip on here and see what happens. The iPad Mini 7 and also the iPad Mini 6, which I'm actually trading in for this guy. Starting to get some frame drops there a little bit. It was doing fine at first. So having multiple 4K clips, that's going to cause some frame drops as well, which not too surprising. Like this is the iPad Mini. This has a mobile chip in it. So the fact that we're even getting what we're getting right now is pretty awesome. So let me just delete that. Now, one thing I do have to admit is I did have to make an adjustment on my computer because there were some text graphics from MotionVFX that I had used. Not all of the effects are compatible at the moment with the iPad as they are with the desktop version. So the one I was using was from their MTuber 3-pack with the social media icons. And so you could choose to either make the handles 3D icons or 2D icons. And so the 3D icons are the ones that's causing the problem. So I'll show you right now what happens when I open that timeline. I get these errors that I kind of have to click through. That's why I created a separate timeline that didn't even have that in there. So we can just open that up right away and just kind of see what we're working with. But now what I'll do is I will use my shortcut keys that I had set up to open up the actual edit page here in DaVinci. So let's go over here to iPad mini 7, open that up. And this is the actual timeline that I used and exported and ended up on YouTube. So first thing you see, warning, unknown tool found, name, Facebook Mesh 3D, ID, Surface, Facebook Mesh, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm just gonna click through that and now it's gonna tell me about Instagram, TikTok, all the icons that just the 3D versions are not supported. Just have to click through that. And then I have to do this every single time I open the project. Good thing though is once you go through all these warnings, they will not pop up again until you close out DaVinci and then reopen it. So now if I hit play, and I have here the iPad mini 7 and also the iPad mini 6, which I'm actually, there we go. So it plays again, drops some frames, but at least we got something, right? Because I was worried at first when I saw those warnings that the project just wasn't going to open at all. So we can see here, we now have the 2D icons versus the 3D ones, which is actually fine. This does bring up a point if you are going to use MotionVFX, will cause some issues. So right here, if I scroll towards the end, there's also another thing too. This warning will pop up for every instance of social media icon text that I have on there. So that's also the annoying part. So sorry, let me go through this again. Let's go to MKBHD package that I got here. And let's go to some of their options and just see what can work and if it actually makes sense to do it here. So yeah, let's just try this first one. Drag this over. Hold on, actually, let me do this because I don't need to be full size anyway. Being able to reduce these clips, that also helps too, because there's not a lot of screen real estate on the Mini. You know, I don't need the previews and things like that. Sometimes for the waveforms, if I'm doing specific edits, I'll bring that back, make that larger. For the most part, I keep the video clips super small like that. But let's hit play. What's up? My name's Royce, and I have here the iPad Mini 7, and also the iPad Mini 6. Okay, so that drops some frames. What's up? My name's Royce, and I have here the iPad Mini 7. And also, so kind of the same deal, right? You know, this isn't too surprising, right? This is going to happen not just on the iPad, but even if you're on an underpowered laptop. Now, the cool thing is we have the flexibility of changing our project settings, right? So what we can do, go to timeline settings and just switch this down to HD. And a lot of times this will just make editing a lot better, especially if you're seeing a lot of frame drops. Yeah, so we still get a little bit, but not as bad. You could definitely work around this, right? I did want to point out though, because we were using MotionVFX, if you're just using regular text effects from just the standard library, these all seem to be working just fine. Like there doesn't seem to be any issues with that at all. At least nothing that I've noticed. Oh, let's get something with a little more pizzazz going on. Yeah, let's get some animations in here. What's up? My name's Royce, and I have here okay. The iPad so Mini. Definitely not as demanding as MotionVFX, but I just wanted to kind of show that for you guys to see, like, you know, because that's the extreme. A lot of people use those in their projects, and if you'd be able to handle it on the Mini 7. Let's just keep it in 4K because that's the whole purpose, right? And then let's go to the color page. So I remember somebody asked in the comments about face refinement. So let's drop that on there and let's see how this handles the face refinement. And let me just get rid of the clip so we at least have a little bit more. I'm gonna zoom in on my face because it's tight. Detect faces in frame. Let's analyze. Okay. It's actually not bad. I mean, this is a short clip. I mean, it's a longer clip cut up. You know, I was actually expecting that process to be a little bit slower than that. So that's kind of cool to see. Zoom in a little bit more so you guys can kind of see in the corner. Let's just go to the extreme with it. Super beautified, no blemishes, no imperfections. That's crazy. Not gonna do this in an actual project, but let's just see. Okay, 8 frames. Dropping. To be expected, right? Timeline settings. Drop this back down to HD. Go back. Hit play. What's up? My name's Royce. Look at that. And I have here clean. The iPad full 24. 7. And also nice. So we got that face refinement. I like to do this here. Let me add another node. Specifically, if I have some iPhone footage and I want to give it a little bit more of a depth of field effect, go to depth map there, plug this in here, and then go to Gaussian blur. Nice. Look at that map there. Just map levels just to fine tune it. see if it'll let me. It's gonna let me do it slowly. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good. Hit invert. Zoom in a little bit more so you guys can see. Yeah, with the depth map, it's able to see what's in the foreground versus the background. And then I can add this blur here, strengthen that to make it look like there's more depth of field. You know, if you go too crazy, it's going to look ridiculous. But it's kind of a cool trick if you're shooting some stuff with the iPhone and you kind of want to get a little bit more depth of field. Not just the iPhone, kind of really any camera, really, even with this camera, right? Like, so we already got some depth there, as you can see in the back, just to give it more of that look. It's kind of a nice little trick. Now let's hit play. Yeah, this is, we're getting that one frame with this one. I do the depth map, I switch it faster. Okay, just want to see. A little quick adjustment, invert. All right, what do we got? All right, yeah. All right, whatever. Just so we can see the effect. Let's just switch to 4K again, just so we can see. Okay, yes. Okay, yeah, that dip keeps coming there. You know, at least it's a little bit better switching that setting to faster, you know, versus what was the one better. We're not getting 0 to 1 frame like we were earlier. And this is a sample with the ProRes 422 LT clips. If you're working with footage that's in H.264, the outcome's probably going to be a little bit different, right? But I wanted to do this footage just to kind of see how far we can push it. And for reference, again, here is my family vlog that I did. I just muted the audio so you don't have to hear us yelling and screaming and shouting and stuff. And I'll move this project to 4K right here. And this footage was shot with the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I showed this in my last video, but I want to show it again just to so you guys can see the difference, right? Like this shot at 30 frames, right? We're going to get that 30 frames. I don't think that DaVinci is going to have a problem processing this type of footage. Just out of curiosity, we can go back into effects, go back into MotionVFX and just kind of like look at some of this stuff here. Let's bring in this MKBHD lower third. It still might be an issue. Oh, no, that's a lot smoother. Let's bring in this one. Okay, so 20 frames. So yeah, so it's affecting a little bit more, but it's not, doesn't look like it's taking that big of a hit, or at least not as big as the other project was. Let's go back to MTuber 3. All right, let's see. Okay, so that's playing a lot smoother. We did get a little dip at the very end, but definitely still manageable, right? So now I have this open with my social media handles. Let's export. So that's still set at 1080. So let's switch that real quick. Okay, switch that back to 4K as we can see here now in the export settings. Hit export, save. And let's just appreciate we're at a point where we can have software like this on a little tiny tablet, little tiny iPad. That still doesn't make sense to me. That's crazy, but I love it. And here we have the exported 4K video. It's working, it's running. It took about 30, a little over 30 minutes to export again, which is not too bad. So to make this workflow the best it can possibly be for your situation, figure out what content you're shooting, what camera you're shooting on, the codecs and everything like that. And then you can kind of gauge how far you'll be able to push editing on the iPad Mini 7. Even in my case, shooting on a Red, recording to ProRes, I could still make this work. I just know I need to drop down to 1080, do everything there, and then just jump up to 4K right before I'm ready to export. Well, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If so, please like and subscribe. Got more videos on the way. If you want some more iPad Mini 7 specific videos, definitely let me know in the comments exactly what you would want to see. Again, as I mentioned, if you want some more like DaVinci Resolve tutorials, like setting up Blackmagic Cloud, definitely let me know in the comments. And until the next one, peace out.